Half an hour ago, I got into another fight with my girlfriend about some stupid bullshit. I don't even remember what it was about, but I stormed out of the house. I didn't feel like dealing with her. Still don't, actually. The idea was to go to Stone Hills, which is just about the perfect place to cool off and have a cigarette. It so happens, of course, that tonight was not a bunch of asshole high school seniors decided to get busted for underage drinking, those fucking dumbasses. So now, I find myself outside Terror Theater, standing in front of the back door some idiot forgot to lock properly. It's a self-proclaimed scariest movie theater in the world, but only because there's no maintenance done in 35 years. They don't have electric lighting, they use candles. So yeah, it's creepy, but only because it might actually kill you. Normally, I wouldn't give this place a second thought, but it seemed like as good of a place as any to be isolated. I creaked open the door. When no one stopped me, I opened it all the way and stepped in. The first thing I noticed about the theater is the temperature drop, which is at least 20 degrees. This is my first chance to turn back. I hated the cold. But the door behind me was closed shut and locked itself. Figures. I can do this job better than the people who get paid for it. The second thing I noticed was how dark it is. It's creepy enough with no candles lit, but at 11:57 p.m., the only thing that cuts through the darkness is the silver moonlight. I turn on the flashlight on my phone, revealing the backstage area. That brings us to the third thing I noticed, the filth. Paint-stained boot prints cover the ground, at least the bits I can see through all the trash. As I squat down to get a better look, I realize that most of the garbage is used needles. I guess I'm not the only one who uses this place late at night. By now, I'm jonesing for my cigarette. I take it out and I lit it as I walk through the screen into the seating area. As the first rush of nicotine hit my brain, all the worries of what was behind the curtain disappeared. My shoulders dropped and my mind finally shut the hell up. I went and found a seat along one of the aisles. Light flickers on and a movie starts playing on the screen. I assume it's some asshole having fun with me, but it doesn't stop me from nearly losing my cigarette. Words flash on the screen. If you're reading this, run. I chuckled. I'm not gonna let this asshole get the satisfaction of scaring me. I sit back and get comfortable. The movie starts with the camera pointed at the ceiling. It moves with the character as he gets out of bed. Naked dick flopping around in some weird first-person experimental film shot in black and white. The character goes over to his desk and picks up a half-empty beaker of dark liquid. He downs before slamming the beaker back down. His hands wipe across his mouth. He walks out of his room into the dark, narrow corridor. Only candles lit his way, so he turns on his flashlight. He walks through the hallway, dick still flopping around, and enters a room that looks like an old infirmary. Hooked up to the beds are several young people with IVs in their arms, slowly draining blood from them. The man takes one of the folded IV bags and puts it up to his lips, sucking greedily. It's the first sound I've heard all movie. The camera pans across a row of beds until it reaches the end, where there lies an empty one. The scene dissolves. The next scene starts in a dark movie theater, which houses just like one lone occupant. I chuckled again. The shot moves forward as the man does, inching closer and closer to the back of the person's head. Presumably that's supposed to be me, but I refuse to turn around. When the camera is right behind the kid, I see the man's arms reach out, holding a flashlight. He flicks it on. A real beam of light hits the screen in front of me. I jumped back and spun, but there was no one behind me. I laughed again, albeit this time much more nervously. They got me good, I think, as I sat back down. Jesus Christ! I literally jumped out of my seat, but again, when I turned around, there was no one there. It's not funny anymore. I put another cigarette between my lips, turning back to take my seat. I'm staring into a pair of milky white eyeballs. The man they belong to is pale, naked, and holding a video camera. I could see my terrified face on the big screen behind him. The man reaches out for me, his splotchy hands aimed for my face. I'm frozen to the dirt. Cracked fingernails inch closer. There's something oozing out of the cuticles, but it doesn't look like blood. Finally, his dry, cracked fingers touch my lips. That's when I ran. I spun out into the aisle and I ran, as fast as I could. As I got to the entrance, 2 theater employees stepped down, pointing their flashlights on my face. When they didn't stop me, they tried to tackle me. Fueled by adrenaline, I bowled through both of them, driving them through the glass doors to the main entrance. That's enough to shake them off. I kept running. I ran and I ran. I didn't stop until I reached my house, hiding under my blanket in my closet. I can hear the footsteps throughout the house. It's only a matter of time now. As I sit there, shaking, my phone goes off, making me jump again. It's a text from an unknown number. I open it and a video starts playing. It's in the same POV format before. I see the doors in my closet. The camera inches closer and closer until the lens is pressed against the crack between the wall and the door. I'm sitting there, watching myself, watching the video of me watching myself. I put down the phone and look up to see one milky white-eyed eyeball staring back at me. "Hey kid, you want to be a movie star?"